Hey everybody, how you doing? Yeah, that was a game. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name's Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening, as I have been for several hours. Joining me is, of course, Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. And the birthday girl herself, It is Kelly Hinkle. We did get one celebration at least tonight.
We did.
Not two, unfortunately. No woo. No Michkov for you.
No Michkov.
Lawton does not continue his at least goal-scoring dominance against the Detroit Red Wings.
I got the Connect Me t-shirt on, so that worked.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he scored right away. It looked like we were going to have a fun night.
It did.
About like a minute into the game, connecting on that little mini breakaway. But it quickly unraveled.
It did.
Flyers end up with, I mean, what did they have? 19 shots on goal to the Red Wings' 24. Neither team played particularly well. Somehow we have 10 goals in a game with 35 shots, whatever the hell it is.
Neither team played particularly well, either defensively or goaltending. I guess the finishers finish. There's that.
Yeah, vaunted finishers. Noah Cates, Ryan Paling among the Flyers goal scorers tonight. That Owen Tippett goal was pretty sick. That was nice
very,
to
very
see.
so good.
And, of course, the TK goal, his 16th of the year to get things started.
Mini breakaway. It was actually off of a really nice play. You had Couturier with a great defensive play.
Coots gets it up the wall.
Gets the puck up to Farabee. Farabee has a nice, can't quite tell if it was no look or not, but it was definitely like a backhand slick pass that leads Konechny in on a semi breakaway, and he scored. That was a really nice play. And you're thinking, what was that, a minute 4 into the game?
Yep. It was as soon as we went live. I actually have video of it. I'm going to be able to tweet at some point. But our reaction, I'm basically doing the intro. It's like, hey, they've scored. It was good stuff.
But you're thinking this is going to be a fun game,
Exactly.
and then the rest of it was mostly garbage.
Yeah, and like I guess from a neutral observer standpoint,
This stuff happened.
10 goals, that's a fun game.
Yeah.
But from a Flyers fan standpoint, they come up short in this one. Where do we want to start? I think I want to start with Sam Ersson.
Okay.
All right.
It's a worthwhile conversation.
Not the best game for Ersson.
Not a banner evening.
Struggling to find his game.
Well, I would say it's a really bad game by the numbers. I don't think he played 78% save percentage bad. But there were a few that I'm sure he wishes he could have stopped.
You give up a 3-on-0. It's like we've said in the past, like, listen, every breakaway doesn't need to go in. Like, those are sometimes it's 50-50. It's we'd like to see you make a save.
Yeah.
You give up a 3-on-0. A 3-on-0 should go in 95% of the time. Sometimes you hit the post or something, but you should score on a 3-on-0.
If the team that has a 3-on-0 doesn't score on a 3-on-0, they screw.
That line should then be benched.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 2 goals, though, that I think were very much on Ersson.
Fair.
The second Kane goal and the one right off the faceoff.
That's fair.
The face-off one, like even the second Kane goal, it's maybe don't leave that guy alone. It was kind of a bad change on that goal.
But again, it's
but
a
I feel like you could have had it.
clean
It's
shot.
a clean shot.
And the big thing for me on that one isn't even that it's a horrendous goal. It's not a good goal. You want your goalie to make a stop there. It's the timing of it.
Yes.
The Flyers had just tied the
Just
game.
tied it.
They're rolling. They're finally feeling good about themselves. And then that's a point of the game where you need the save. I don't care how you do it. You just need to make the save.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I am with Ersson right now. Like, we were talking during the game, even at the one intermission. I think it was Joe who joined us tonight for the birthday celebration during the watch along. Like, dude, he was like, "Do you think we see Kolosov maybe to start the third here?" And in that Fedotov game, it's like, 2 goals, and listen, the coach doesn't trust Fedotov, so he's out after 20 minutes. But John Tortorella Ersson earned his trust, or at least his respect last year.
Yes.
That he's not going to, especially when, again, you look at like, oh, a 3-0, huh? You know, like, I can't blame the goalie. No. There is something to like sparking the team, but it wasn't that kind of night. It was a weird game. It's two oddly put together teams playing in a weird game, and we have, it's 5-4 and then an empty netter. That's kind of the way it went. Do you think there was an opportunity to get Ayers out? Did it make sense? I kind of think it makes sense to stick with him there, even though he hasn't been great lately.
I mean, I don't know if it would have made a difference in this one because, 17 shots on goal, the guy still would have had to score a couple of more goals in order to win this game. So there's that. It's just that Ersson, like, I understand that he's earned trust and that he's got a history that he can like stand on of being a pretty solid goaltender. But since he's come back, like, I feel like he really hasn't been. Like, he's been, I would say, at best, fine. And, like, I just would like to see, if maybe in a goal like, in a game like this, is Kolosov able to make those stops when you absolutely need them in order to keep the team in the game? I don't know if we've seen him, Kolosov, in enough of those situations to know if he's that guy or not. And with Ersson not playing as well as we would like, I think it's an opportunity to maybe split the games a little bit more evenly and get it, some more looks at Kolosov and see what maybe he can bring to the table.
Well, kind of jumping off that point, this may have played into why they didn't pull Ersson.
Well, you got tomorrow.
They play tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
So
that's another part of it.
Kolosov is getting the game tomorrow, regardless. Whether Ersson made 30 saves on 30 shots and got a shutout, or Ersson is just terrible, Kolosov's playing tomorrow. That's obvious. So do you really want Kolosov coming in for a period and then going right back out the next day?
Yeah.
You're gonna have the apples to apples comparison. If anything, Kolosov's getting the tougher matchup because LA, at least this year, has been a much better team than Detroit has been.
That's true.
Now, if Kolosov goes out there and, gives up 1 goal on 32 shots tomorrow and coming off of Ersson not playing all that well tonight, then maybe you get what you want. But I guess I'm not there with Kolosov. If he over the next couple weeks continues to play well, maybe I'll get to that point. I don't trust Kolosov, and I'm not in the he's new, so maybe he'll be better. Well, I just don't trust him.
I'm in an I don't know with him. And the only way to know is to see.
I definitely don't trust Kolosov yet. I'm intrigued, but it's more a question of Sam Ersson for me right now. Mm-hmm. Since the initial injury, he faced the 8 shots, made the 8 saves against Boston, comes out after 7 minutes and 36 seconds. That's the initial injury. Since then, 3 goals against, 3 goals against, 4 goals against, 3 goals against, 3 goals against, 5 goals against. It hasn't been going all that well.
No,
he certainly hasn't stood out to win them a game. He's had some games where he's made a decent number of saves, but he hasn't given up fewer than 3 goals since, when was this? That was November 2nd. Was the game he got hurt in.
Pre-injury.
And that's coming, that's a good stretch for him there, where he was actually starting to put it together. He has the shutout at Boston. He gives up 1 against St. Louis. Then he stops 8 of 8 against Boston again, and that's where he gets hurt. That was one of his strongest stretch of the season because he didn't start out great. And the injury has kind of derailed him. I would like to see him get the opportunity to lock down that number 1 spot. But if the goal is to try to get this team to the playoffs, this is a playoff race, it hasn't been going well. Now, I have no idea if Kolosov can do it. He's got a handful of starts. Yeah. Fedotov has none of the coaches' trust.
Yeah, he's definitely
so we have no idea what to expect from him, or if he's even factoring into the plans at all in the near future, unless there's another injury.
Right.
The goalie situation just very much up in the air right now. Ersson's the guy by default. I don't know how long he's going to stay that way, especially if, say, like Charlie said, Kolosov comes out tomorrow. Maybe it's we got to think about this situation.
Well, we saw last year that, and I know it was a different situation because they knew what was looming over Carter Hart's head, but they didn't know if anything was going to come of it. They truly did not know. I think the Flyers, certainly suspected that it may play out the way it would, but they didn't know for sure. Carter Hart lost the unquestioned #1 job long before the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Like that was purely from Sam Erson's playing really well. It's not that Carter Hart's playing terribly. It's just that he's not playing as well as Ersson. So now this is going to be a little bit more of a 50-50 split. I think the same thing could happen with Ersson and Kolosov too. Like Kolosov or Ersson could get Erssoned. It could happen.
It could. And to that point, like Ersson, yes, everything that happened, and that's why Ersson had to take over as the only goalie.
But even before
basically. But leading up to that, because that's what, the 20th, with the Carter Hart situation unfolding from, what was it, November 3rd to January 18th, when it is a split, .930 save percentage with 3 shutouts, 12-3-2 for Sam Ersson.
Yeah.
He was playing unbelievably well, and that's kind of what led to the timeshare situation. And then, you know, Carter Hart charged, all that happens. He becomes the #1, and there's no #2, so he just plays every game, and that's where his numbers really tanked last year. But we've seen it. We have seen a guy who is unquestioned, like you said, lose that spot, at least in terms of how much you're going to play, and it played out just last year. So we'll see. But it's on Kolosov. Like, he has to put up
he's got to do
outstanding numbers in order to, or at least steady numbers in order to supplant a guy that the coach really likes. There's no other way to put it. Like, the coach respects the hell out of what Ersson did for this team last year, kind of going, listen, your numbers are they're gonna suck, man. There's no other. This is the way it's gonna go. The team is falling apart. We're tired. These clutch games, these crunch time games, not playing well, and honestly, you're tired as hell too.
Yeah.
It's going to be what it's going to be, but we got nobody else because we put Cal Peterson in. Once he gave up 7, we can't let that happen again.
No.
At least we can trust you to maybe not give up 7, and he's going to have a chance to play himself out of this, but I am wondering what the leash is in terms of, like, this going 50-50. I do wonder that.
Yeah, I'm curious. And look, in the end, while the Flyers do have a lot of respect for Sam Ersson, they are high on him internally, they're not wedded to him. You know, he's not on a long-term contract. He's still relatively young. Kolosov is a bit younger. Kolosov is a top prospect in the organization. There's a reason why they've bent over backwards a little bit for this guy who was fairly demanding this summer about what he wanted. They know in an ideal world he's probably in the AHL, but hey, we want to make sure we keep him, so we're going to keep him in the NHL. Kolosov very well could jump Ersson in the long-term plan. Now, whether he fully jumps in this season, you know, you never know how it's going to play out, but all of this is more data collection on which goalie will ultimately win out. And there's a good chance that the goalie who wins this organizational battle isn't even here yet. Maybe it's Carson Bjarnason, who turns pro next year. He's going to be one of Hockey Canada's, if not their starting goalie in the World Juniors.
Yeah.
It could be Igor Zavragin, who's going to be over in Russia for a few more years. He's very promising. But Kolosov's in that mix. Ersson's in that mix. This year is data that will give them information about who they think should ultimately seize that #1 job long term. And so far this year, Ersson had that brief stretch when he was real good before the injury. Since he's come back, he hasn't been that great. I think he's opened the door. Now we see if Kolosov can walk through it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, just thinking about it, like, the thing with Ersson that's interesting is, like, this foundation that he, like, how much of a like, we don't have that much of a history. Like, when you
It's 2
really
months.
think about it,
It's November
of him being very good.
November through January last year.
Yeah. And he was very good.
Yeah.
But then he was also bad for long stretches last year. And, like, yes, of course, he was playing too many games probably. But, like, if he was a true #1, would playing too many games. I mean, he played
no
a lot.
one really gets that kind of work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like
Like
spitballing.
March and April, like that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, like it's just like Ersson for me has not proven that he's the guy enough for me to not want to test out the other guy, I guess.
And they're going to test out the other guy.
Yeah.
And I came into this year like, I don't know. I think I know he's an NHL goalie. I don't know in what role. Maybe he's best served in a timeshare or as a backup where he really excelled last year. And then as we've seen him take on a greater workload, it's gone poorly. Maybe that's ultimately what he is. But I wanted, because of what he did last year, to give him the opportunity
Sure.
this season. And I think that's what it was about. Yeah. Now we see what he does with the opportunity. And there's lots of season left. It ain't Christmas yet.
Yeah.
Like we're talking.
We're not even at the halfway point of the season.
We're still not 40 games in. I know, Hinkle. I know.
It feels like it.
I know. It's just a lot of crazy stuff happens. And
this is Flyers hockey.
It's Flyers hockey.
Always crazy.
But
every game counts for 7.
Like Charlie said, though, like none of this matters if Kolosov doesn't walk through the door.
Yeah.
Like he's got to do
He's
got
to play well.
Yeah.
And he has been playing well recently, but it's a pretty small sample size.
Yeah, and he's had some real clunkers, too.
He's got to continue.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a guy who had a clunker tonight, and the coach did something about it. Cam York.
Second straight clunker, actually. True clunker.
In the second period, he doesn't see the ice after the 7.5-minute mark of the second period. So for the final 27-29 of this game, does not play. Interesting to see that happen to one of your top guys.
Well, when you make the pass that he made,
it was real bad.
It's pretty clear why he was benched. So he's the guy who, it's not even that it's a bad pass, because it is. It's a bad pass. It's a stretch pass attempt through the neutral zone, gets intercepted, turns into what functionally is the 3-on-1. First, I thought it was a 2-on-1. Then I watched it on replay. It's like, nah, that was such a bad pass that the third guy got back before one of the back checkers could. The reason why it's such a terrible decision on Detroit's goal is he's by himself back there.
Yes.
It's not like he even has a defensive partner next to him to provide support if that risky stretch pass becomes a turnover and they come back the other way. He's on an island back there. And there are moments when you have to recognize, like, even if I see a potential pass, you got to weigh the risk reward. And on that play, he just thought, oh, I can hit that pass easy, no problem. And it's not an easy pass. Like, that would have had to have been in this really small window to get through. It gets intercepted. And because it gets intercepted, he's the only guy back. And then they're screwed. Then it's a 3-on-1 because everybody else is way far up. Now, might guys have been a little stretched? Might it have been a little disconnected? Problems we saw the first month of the season? Maybe. But York has to recognize that. He has to recognize that everybody is way far out. And if that pass doesn't get through, the Flyers are screwed. It wasn't just a physical mistake. It was just a dumb decision. It was a poor evaluation of the risk reward of the situation. And that's the kind of play that a head coach, and you know this, you played hockey, a head coach might get frustrated, but they're generally willing to accept the physical mistakes.
Physical mistakes happen.
They happen to everybody.
You're going to fumble a puck. Stuff happens.
But if you just make a brainless decision that shows that you weren't thinking about the consequences of your actions on the ice, those are the plays that drive coaches nuts. And I totally understand why he benched him the rest of the game.
So the question now, just looking at the TOI, Cam York plays 12:49 tonight. His previous low this season was 20 even. Does he, as Elaine Vigneault used to say, have enough money in the bank? Has he made enough deposits that this is not a hanging offense? That this is a one game, listen, I sat you for a period and a half. You had to sit on the bench and deal with that. Or, as we talked about during the watch-along, could it be possible that Emil Andrae finds his way back into the lineup, not by replacing Yegor Zamula, but by replacing, like, top pair defenseman Cam York?
So we know that, like, there was a time at the start of Torts' tenure that he didn't like Cam York's attitude, right? Like, that's why he was sent down.
Well,
just didn't like his game.
I don't think it was his. I mean, the attitude thing. You open up a can of worms here. So because you really, like, I don't want people to take this. I think there's always been a little bit of Torts doesn't quite get the California cool of York, because York is just so, like, he kind of has that, like, too cool for school, a little bit of an aloof personality. He's very dry. He's very sarcastic. He's not like run through a wall. I care so much, even though I do believe he is very competitive and cares. That's just not his outward personality. So number one, I think that was something that Torts is never going to quite get.
Yeah.
Number two, and this is where it manifests on the ice, I think that Torts felt like York didn't play assertive enough at times, and that frustrated. Same thing, he had a frustration point with Sanheim, where it's a little too casual, a little too laid back.
Yeah.
Over the last season and change, I guess before this most recent stretch, I think he felt like York has taken his game up to another level in terms of intensity. So did he have a problem with his attitude? Sort of, but I just want to make sure everyone knows what that means. It's not like he thinks he doesn't care.
No, I'm glad you clarified. I'm just wondering, like, if York's response to this level of benching, which is pretty dramatic, like if that response is going to play into if he's playing tomorrow or not.
And if maybe you want to see if he's playing tomorrow, you got to go with Game Time.
You can go to the game.
It is a home game.
That's right. You can head over to see the Flyers and Kings up close in person tomorrow. And if you're going to go, why not go with Game Time, the top secondary ticket marketplace on the entire internet? And the thing that's making it great right now, it's Game Time Picks, because Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And listen, that's the newest feature. That's the priority in these reads they want me to tell you about. But all the old features are still there. You still get the all-in pricing. You still get the seat views, the low price guarantee, and the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And while we're here, why don't I tell you about Rothman Orthopedics? That's right, because if you've got aching joints or cramping hands or your back's out of whack, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, they're practicing specialized care, and it's been their passion for over 50 years because their mission, high-quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on their specialty: hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part, and it's right in your backyard. Rothman Orthopedics, they specialize in you, specializing in you and orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. Are our guests? Oh, they haven't left. Okay,
Yeah, they're still
here.
Well, the pizza didn't arrive until like 10 minutes ago, so we had a DoorDash order cancel. It was a whole thing, but yeah, so they're still here. I was like, what is going on out there?
But go back to York for a second.
York,
I think
yes.
my bigger concern with York isn't even the fact that he had a real bad game tonight. He did. Obviously, that stretch pass gone bad was terrible. It's a mistake you can't make in the NHL, especially when you're a relative veteran like him. What concerns me is he was real bad on Saturday too. You know, he has the play where he kind of doesn't cover the point, and it leads to a transition rush that goes in the back of the net. And that wasn't his only bad play. It was a bad all-around game by Cam York. We talked about it extensively on Saturday. So now he's had 2 real bad games in a row. And that's almost like the question of, are they going to scratch him? I truly don't know. It's John Tortorella. He'll literally scratch anyone, so you can't rule anything out. I almost wonder if, could he benefit from a scratch just to get his head right? Because, I mean, these are 2 straight really bad games from a really important player. Look, I know that hockey isn't baseball. There's half the games. It's a totally different sport. But, there are times in a baseball season where, Bryce Harper is 0 for 20, and you're just take the day off. Maybe we'll pinch hit you late in the game, so it's not like you got benched, but just take a day off and clear your head. I almost wonder if maybe he just needs a little bit of time to clear his head.
It wouldn't shock me if that's the way it goes. And listen, Kelly and I especially, we've talked all the time, 82 games in a sport this physical, and especially the way this schedule has been condensed in this first half so they can fit in the 4 nations, everyone could probably benefit from a game or 2 off. Now, it doesn't need to be a week and a half the way it's been for Emil Andrae. If we're developing this guy, there's only so much you can learn by watching. Would like to see him get in. Yes. But that is now an opportunity. Here's an opportunity maybe to get him back in. It's not the end of the world if they scratch Cam York.
No.
That said, I look at him as maybe their most valuable trade piece down the line, and I don't want that hanging over. Is that
I wouldn't worry about that.
Is that part of your thought process at all now?
You've brought that up a bunch of times whenever they scratch someone. I just think the NHL looks at it as he plays for John Tortorella. Of course he's got scratched a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's how, at the end of the year, I don't think that's going to cost, unless it's a San Jose or Calgary or Montreal voter. Like, I don't think that's going to cost Mish
Right.
any Calder Trophy votes. But if I'm a GM acquiring a guy, it's like, well, what was the reason for that scratch then? Like, they don't watch every single game of every guy.
I don't think that the Flyers, I don't think there is a world where they are trying to trade Cam York right now.
No.
Where
And
like
that
he's going to get traded in the next day and a half before the roster.
Yes, and it's
and
probably...
by then he'll probably get back going again. I don't think he's going to get traded this season. I don't think he's going to get traded, period, but that's just my personal opinion.
It's a more, if it were to happen, and it's a low-end possibility, as all trades are in this league.
Sure.
Like, it's more of a down-the-line thing, and at this point, this will have long been forgotten. If he even gets scratched, which we don't know.
And I guess my point, going back to that, is that I just think that if you're a team that is looking at making a trade with the Philadelphia Flyers, you're not going to penalize any single player for getting scratched because everyone in the league knows who coaches the Philadelphia
Also, like,
Flyers.
who hasn't been scratched
Exactly.
at this point? I feel like
Exactly.
the entire roster has gotten at least a game since he's been here.
I mean, has Lawton ever been scratched?
Oh,
is he like the one guy?
He might be the guy.
Might be the one guy.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
He's the captain. So.
Since we're talking about John Tortorella, the best part of the night, probably. I mean, like, that Owen Tippett goal was sick.
That was a great goal.
The TK
So
goal
good,
to start
yeah.
the game, a ton of fun. The best part of the night is Torts losing it over that missed call.
What a wild sequence.
That's been one of our better Torts meltdowns in 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't know if I've seen him that red
to
before.
refresh everyone's memory, it looks, I think, like Sean Couturier gets hooked or tripped.
Yeah.
And
It
Ref
looked
goes-
like, to be clear, that looked like a penalty.
It sure did.
it looked,
To the ref, too, apparently.
when you break
At
it
least
down,
initially.
like the one that gets called 30 seconds or whatever later versus that one, it's like, you were better off just calling that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But looks like he gets tripped. Official's arm goes up. Sam Ersson comes out. Extra skater goes on. Official's arm goes down right away.
Yeah.
Goes, nah, I'm not calling it. And then they go to call the Flyers for too many men, and it's an S show. Like,
Well, because I think if I was reading the situation right, and maybe I'm not, I thought what happened was, and the reason why they called the too many men penalty, which I guess by the letter of the law is too many men, because I think what happened was once the Flyers figured out what was going on, then Ersson runs back
gets
out on
back
the
on.
ice, but then the extra skater never went back to the bench because it was just total confusion. And then the refs are looking at it like, oh, well, I guess it's too many men. They have 6 skaters and a goalie out there. And then, of course, Torts loses his mind because he rightfully points out that this whole situation was avoidable if the official didn't call a penalty and then change his mind.
that's the once the arm goes up.
Yeah, that's
even
it.
if, because like you've seen referees go, missed it, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once you put the arm up,
You gotta
you're
do the whole
calling the
thing.
penalty.
Yeah,
you
you
have
gotta do
said
the thing.
a penalty
Yes.
occurred.
Yeah.
You've seen them go like, got
Never
by
mind.
me, or
Right.
I called it, and then like I played it back in my mind and realized, but like I called it, so it's
Like,
a penalty.
sorry, yeah.
I don't know if I've ever just seen a ref
can't
go,
go,
yes, no.
No.
like,
Stop,
no.
it's insane.
And
I've never seen anything like that
Tortorella
before in an
rightful-
NHL game.
Yeah, Tortorella rightfully loses his mind.
I've seen that in beer league games.
Yeah, sure.
But in an NHL game, in a
Yeah, when there's,
professional
like,
hockey game,
The guy that works at Target is reffing
Yeah.
the game.
Well, yeah,
like,
because
okay,
it's like
maybe.
my buddy Mike is the official, and he's like, guys, it's 11:30. I ain't calling ice. Like, I don't care. The clock's running. Like, yeah, that happens. But like to see that go down in an NHL game, Tortorella rightfully goes, you either call it or you don't.
exactly.
Yeah.
At worst, okay, Ersson went back out. Let's take one from both.
Yeah.
But you can't go, no, sorry, not a
No.
penalty. And Charlie, you were cracking me up. Like this is the circumstance in which the Flyers benefit from having a
Yeah.
lunatic.
Yes.
Because this game becomes a farce. Because Tortorella is going to get kicked out, refuse to
Yes.
leave the bench again if they
Yes.
tell him, actually, you get a
No,
penalty
he's
on
gonna
this
like
play.
start throwing the iPads
Yes.
on the ice.
Yeah.
This is going
He's
like,
looking for things to throw.
you were saying, like, this becomes a Roger Nielsen. like,
full
what,
Roger Nielsen.
what can we throw on the ice?
Everything. Anything not nailed
'Cause
down goes.
That is the. I'd have to go back, but I don't know if we've seen him lose it like that.
That I think is the most I've seen
'Cause
him.
I think it's the worst since the game that he got kicked out of and refused
I
to
don't
leave the
even
bench.
know if he
even
was
that-
that. he wasn't that like animated during that game. He was mostly just like, "Oh, I'm not leaving."
Well, he was. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
no,
fair.
that was just
Fair.
like you have to deal with me.
I'm not leaving. What are you gonna
Someone
do?
is going to have to deal with me.
Yeah.
Or like,
But
and they were
this
just
time he was, like,
refusing to engage.
Red-faced and screaming and like leaning over the.
Yeah,
like,
he was mad.
That was
really
one
And
of
the
our-
thing is, he was totally justified in being
100%
mad. He
justified.
was
No,
in the
you
right.
can't do that.
Yeah,
Like
it was
you
terrible.
can't just call a penalty and then go, no, it's not a penalty.
Well,
and then try to penalize the team for getting
Right.
yeah. Well, in fairness, that is ultimately what they did.
Yeah.
Which was my point that I made on the watch along and on Blue Sky was that if the Flyers head coach is a normal person that they don't have to worry about doing something crazy, I think there's a good chance the officials just say, like, sorry, we messed up, but you did have too many men on the ice. You should have been paying closer attention to the official putting his arm down. You're getting a penalty. Because it's John Tortorella and they are actually afraid of what he might do.
Yes.
They're like, okay, never mind. We're just going to pretend this whole thing never happened.
I just wonder, like, Flyers pull Ersson, and like eventually, like, okay, it's going to be too many men on the Flyers, so that stops play because we have the puck.
Right.
They're not going to blow it dead like we think if Detroit touches it. That's why the net's empty. What if they shoot it and score?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, then we have
Then we have a real
like
problem.
then we might have a physical altercation. on
That
the
Tortorella is
That's a really good point.
100%
I would love to know
losing his
because
mind.
like, Ersson is the only one paying enough attention to get his ass back out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Like, what if that doesn't occur and Detroit has the puck? And we have 6 guys, but ain't no one in the net. What if they just ice it and it's like, well, it was on net, like,
Yeah.
and it's in? I almost wish that would have happened to see what sort of.
That would have been wild.
Ultimately, winning
Yeah.
this game would have been more fun.
Yes.
That might have been for a single night, a single play, the greatest outcome imaginable if Detroit scores on the open net there.
Yeah.
To see what sort of shenanigans. Like, do we have a line brawl with the officials and the coach?
I'm
Torts
afraid.
literally, his head goes full scanners.
Like,
it just explodes.
Yeah.
Like Rocky Thompson, a man in his day who would throw him.
Yeah,
Like, I would
it's true.
love to see what would have happened.
It's
Like,
true.
do we have the coaches climbing over? Like, obviously, this is an insane situation, but like, that was the craziest part of tonight's game.
It was pretty bonkers.
It was crazy.
I liked it.
And the fact that, again, that the refs, ultimately, the officials' ultimate decision is, okay, John, you were right.
Never mind.
Calm down. We're just going to pretend this whole thing never happened. We're not going to call the initial penalty, but we're also not going to call you for a penalty. And like, let's just all forget about this event, okay?
And
okay.
not only that, like seconds later, they were like, "Oh, Paling fell down.
Make
That's
no
a
call."
penalty.
Listen,
I guess that's a penalty."
In real time, that looked like a penalty.
sure.
It's
Sure.
You
But
see
it
the
was-
replay and go, it's not even a dive. He
They were
toe
looking
kicked.
to make
he
a call.
Like, it's not even like
He
a
like, tripped
oh.
over himself.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was just kind of the stick briefly touches like his shin pad, and then the next thing you know, he's face planting. Like, Flyers get a power play, nothing comes of it. It was a minute 10 before they even set up on the power play.
Great job there, boys.
Whatever, I guess this power play doing a great job. Speaking of Rocky Thompson, Coots has a couple of points tonight, 2 really good setups,
2 really good plays.
and the second one comes
On the fourth line.
as he's somehow, it seemed, demoted to the 4th line to start the 3rd period.
I couldn't tell if he was the 4C or the 4L wing.
Yeah, we
I
didn't
could not tell. Because all those shifts were pretty much on the fly. He was still taking faceoffs. He won a bunch of faceoffs tonight. My guess is that he was the center, but it is funny that that was the move that was made by Torts. It was, okay, we're going to keep the Brink, Cates, Forrester line together. We're going to shake up the other 3. And the guy who gets moved to the 4th line, I guess, if you want to call it that, with Hathaway and Paling, is Sean Couturier, who made a really good play on the Konechny goal that opened the scoring in this game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was invisible.
And now, to be fair to the entire Couturier situation, to be fair, Coots ends up with the most ice time among the centers.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
he does still play almost 16 minutes. Frost is at 14-15, but it was just very funny to see the guy who's perpetually in the doghouse.
yeah.
Oh, you get Michkov, and now we're going to give you a TK too. And then Couturier, yeah, here's Ryan Paling.
Oh,
Here's Garnet Hathaway.
He made lemonades out of lemons.
Yes.
He did create a goal. And it was a big goal. I mean, that's the goal that turns the game. Obviously, they ultimately lose it. But it's easy to forget they did tie this game.
This
As
game-
bad as they played in the second period, they tied it in the 3rd.
Yeah, it's the Ryan Paling game makes it the Ryan Paling goal from Coots and Sanheim makes it 4-3. Then Owen Tippett with just about minute and a half later scores a sick goal, from Lawton. Drysdale made a sneaky good play to get the puck to Lawton in his own zone.
It was a good play by Jamie.
And then Lawton breaks it out, gets it to Tippett, who does the rest. Couple of dekes to score that goal.
Well, Lawton had to get his point.
He had to get something.
Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't Bet365 doesn't pay off our anytime goal, but does at least record a point in his ongoing vendetta against Little Caesars or whatever it might be. The Illich family, who knows? Just really wants 90. Grew up loving Sergei Fedorov and has no understanding of why that number isn't retired yet. Whatever it might be.
Could be that.
It gets his point. But yeah, the Couturier, glad to see him like kind of give that little bit of an FU play. Now, maybe it was let's get that line going. But as we talked about, maybe it was pregame, maybe it was during the who's to say?
It all runs.
But Tortorella has been critical of the quote unquote top line.
He has, yes.
And he's like, the other three are going. It's that top line.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of it. Like, well, he was just predisposed to not liking this line. So let's see. Obviously, love Travis Konechny. Going to keep giving him his time. And let's see what else we can do to kind of move things around.
In fairness, if Tortorella was looking for the response that he wants when he punishes guys, Couturier did exactly what he wanted to do.
He did.
He bumps Couturier down to a fourth line role, and Couturier doesn't sulk. He just sets up a beautiful goal for one of his fourth line lineups. So maybe that plays into why his ice time wasn't down, because, hey, I bumped it down and you responded exactly the way I wanted you to, so I'm going to load you up with ice time now.
That D-zone draw that he did lose. Now, he was good in the circle tonight. His numbers were typical, I believe.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
8 face-off wins out of 12.
Yeah, 66.7.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. But he loses that one clean in the D zone. I feel like that was kind of the catalyst for bumping him down a bit.
Yeah.
Also, that's one of the goals Sam needs to come up with.
Yes. But okay, I get it. I get the initial urge to be frustrated. It's a face-off.
It's a face-off.
You're going to lose some of them.
You typically lose some.
Yeah.
Especially in the defensive zone. Like, we know this. The team on offense gets the advantage. Now, Coots, this is one of the things he's out there for.
Yeah,
This is one of his specialties.
Sure.
Winning faceoffs is a thing that you can usually count on Sean Couturier for, and to that point, 67% tonight. Like, not exactly, but the one he loses is the frustrating one in the defensive zone. It leads to a goal.
Yeah.
Ayers probably could have made a save.
Could have.
But it's Couturier still, it's funny to see him. Oh, yeah, and he just has 2 points. Like, gets demoted to the fourth line, has a 2-point night. Someone who did not record a point. Matvei Michkov. 3 straight without a point. Ties the longest slump of his season. Had one at the end of October, the 27th, 29th, and 31st, where he didn't record any offense. What's surprising about that to me is this is coming after several games off. He's usually pretty good when he's had some time to rest. He's also good in back-to-back, so who the hell knows? But he's usually pretty decent coming out of an extended break, more than one day in between games. No offense. Is this just the ebbs and flows of a season for a newly minted 20-year-old?
Yeah, I think it's just like, lots of guys go 3 games without a point.
It happens.
And we don't talk about it. But, we just want him to do things all the time.
He's the main character.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this is just going to be the next 10 years of our lives. I want him to do all the things all the time. And when he doesn't, the team suffers because he's the best player on the team. And I don't like that. So I just need him to be a magical hockey man and do the things all the time. And when he doesn't, it's frustrating. And you do kind of start to wonder, okay, what's going on here that you, who do things so often, seemingly at will, why aren't you doing them right now? What's the problem?
Did lead the team.
Even though there's probably no problem, in your head, you're like, well, there must be a problem because otherwise he would score in every single game.
People are going to have real trouble dealing with like the first actual extended slump that Matvei Michkov has. Like,
I won't know what to do with myself.
What we saw with Connor Bedard, like that's going to happen to Michkov at some point. Like it is. It happens to everybody. The first time that happens, oh my God, Philadelphia Flyers fans are going to go bonkers. Because I don't think he played bad tonight. I thought he set up a bunch of plays, bunch of nice passes. Wasn't perfect. Made some mistakes. But there are worlds where he finishes with an assist or two. It's just guys didn't finish. Plays didn't quite play out the way they've played out in more harmonious games for him. I don't think there's anything really wrong with Matvei Michkov. I thought that Frost, that line with him, Frost and Tippett before they broke it up in the third period, I thought that was the one line that was consistently in the offensive zone making plays. So I'm really not worried, but I get why people just want him to score all the points all the time.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Mishkov led the team.
Yeah, I just want to do the things.
Led the team with 4 shots on goal.
That's good.
Only like 3 guys had more than 2 other guys had more than 1. And he's second amongst forwards with 19-12 of ice time. And this is in a game with only 1 power play. The coach sees what we're seeing, even if he's not putting up the points. He's still doing stuff. Just not quite, it just hasn't gotten on the score sheet the last few nights. And that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to, I realize. But I, like everyone else, like, I don't care about anything but Michkov.
Exactly.
Like, him winning the Calder is the point of this season.
That's all
to
I
me.
care about.
It's more important than the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, cool. I can't wait to do
extra.
playoff post games. If they don't, my summer vacation starts early. Like, if Michkov doesn't win the Calder, I will be bitterly disappointed.
Yes,
like,
100%.
First one in franchise history. That would be really,
it would be
freaking cool.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, I got to tell you about Glatt Hair Restoration.
Hey.
That's right. You know about Glatt Hair by now, and Glatt Hair Restoration is now under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Dr. Ken Morgenstern. But don't you worry if you're thinking about getting a hair restoration procedure from Glatt, because you still get the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results under a highly respected plastic surgeon. And each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all they do, from laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical medications, oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment, because nobody's hair is the same. Nobody's in the same stage of hair loss. They treat each patient individually. So bald is now optional, and if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today. And if you want the real confidence, you got to start winning some bets, and you got to win some bets with Bet365, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We came up a little short tonight, like we were just saying. Michkov, no. He didn't find himself on the score sheet. Lawton, well, he got an assist, but we bet that anytime goal doesn't help us. Maybe you were smart enough to bet his points total rather than the goal. And if you did, you came away a winner at Bet365. I've been placing all my bets this season, from futures, props, whatever it may be, at Bet365. I think you should too. So download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Charlie, let's hit 3 stars.
Oh,
I'm very interested to see who your 3 stars are tonight. I think I have a good idea who one might be, but interested to know who the other 2 are. So it is now time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Hit us. Star number 3.
Yeah, third star of the game, I'm going to go with Sean Couturier, honestly.
There you go.
2 really nice assists. I'm not saying he had a perfect game. Obviously, there was that face-off that was glaring, but
what are you going to do?
I don't really pin that on him. Could he have tied up the guy and made it not a clean win? Sure, but it's face-offs. Sometimes you're going to lose one. Sam Ersson's got to make the save there. Couturier, the fact that he got pushed down to the fourth line and responded immediately with a great shift that leads to a goal that easily could have turned this game. It did turn this game in the Flyers' favor. It could have turned it into a win. That was a momentum changing, coming out of the locker room, big shift. Suddenly the game's tied. Boom. Fantastic play by Couturier. He gets third star for that reason.
All right, Chuck, hit us with star number 2.
Star number 2, I will go with Lucas Raymond. Had a strong game, I would say. Gets an empty net goal. Was, I would say, all over the ice. He was noticeable all game. I called him Mason Raymond accidentally on pregame, thinking back to the days of the late 2000s, early 2010s Vancouver Canucks team. No, it's Lucas Raymond. He's a very talented player. He's second star.
That's very disappointing just because
you know who's going to be number 1.
Star number 1
Yeah,
sucks.
No, don't do it, Charlie.
Yeah.
Who's star number 1, Chuck?
Yeah.
It's the friends we made along the way.
It's Patrick Kane. I mean,
All right.
the 5th goal was the game.
He played in New York. He's now in his 2nd year in Detroit.
Yeah.
It's been a while. 2010,
Been a while.
a long time ago. Do we have to keep showing the goal every time?
Why do you
Why
have
do they
to
keep
show the
showing
goal?
it?
Why?
Why?
It's
Maybe if the game's in Philly where the goal was scored. But this is Detroit.
It's
has
a
nothing to
different
do with them.
place.
In
No.
fact, a geographical and historic rival of that team.
they weren't there.
It's disappointing.
Yeah,
No one's left. There's no one left on the Flyers from those teams. He plays for a totally. Why must they do this to us regularly? Is it so I get mad? Are they trying to make me mad?
Yes. Here's the thing. Like, I have gone out of my way to see that goal as few times as possible. I was in the building and didn't see it when it happened.
Yeah, no one did.
And for a long time, I refused to consume any media.
2 guys knew it was in.
Yeah, right.
He was one of them.
But
Yep.
then, like, this happens, and I'm looking at the television, and there it is, and I can't avoid it, and I don't want to see it. It's upsetting.
I just,
it should be banned from
I don't
television
know why they have to.
by
it
the
was
FCC.
so long ago.
Yeah, knock it off.
We're coming up on 15 years.
Has Patrick Kane done nothing else you can show? You got no other highlights for him?
I just-
He won other cups. Show those.
Yeah, like that's his first
Let
of
me
3.
live.
It's like the least. Like
Yeah.
he won
Look
2
at the
more
other
since
ones.
then. Hey, I just he's been on as many teams since then as he's won. I just
No.
why?
Yeah.
Why must they do this to us repeatedly? Of course, it's what was it tonight? Tonight was the TNT game. Tomorrow's the ESPN Hulu. Like, not even like if this is on NBC, all right. Like it happened on your net. This is a totally different network. It's disappointing.
It's disrespectful.
I would agree.
To
I
us.
hate it.
I completely agree with your sentiments, guys.
Why must they do this to
Stop
us
it.
after all these years? It was 15 years ago, guys. Get over it.
Get new
Is there a
material.
way to,
Yeah,
like,
just
light all of the footage on fire?
it's like the honestly.
It's all
like,
digitized now,
Do
Kelly.
like a heist at the NHL headquarters in
Like,
New York City.
I feel like that ship sailed in terms of actually being possible probably in like the late 90s.
So I can't do a heist. is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
once computers got involved and then they became where we put data, no longer can just burn all
What
the
if I
records.
do a fight club and destroy all the computers?
I think your better goal is to do a Mr. Robot, just like
Oh.
delete everything.
Okay.
That could be done. You can't burn everything because it's not going to do anything.
I identify with that show.
you got
I feel
to
I
delete
would.
it,
Yeah, all
right?
right, cool.
I feel like it's like the snowballs of Santa Claus thing.
Mhm.
Like we've done stuff since then.
Yeah.
Like hit us
Stop
with
bringing
something
that up.
else.
You want to bring up the batteries?
Do the
Sure. We
batteries.
actually the bracelets.
That happened.
We
Yeah, like
did
the
those
bracelets
things.
happened. Like
We did those things.
Just it's a bummer. You know what won't be a bummer though?
What's that?
Festivus,
Hey!
Hinkle. Tell me about Festivus.
Festivus this Monday, December 23rd, 6 p.m. at XFINITY Live in what is called the pub, used to be Bullies. There's going to be raffles benefiting Snyder Youth Hockey Foundation. There's an aluminum pole. Bill and Charlie will be there doing a live broadcast. It's going to be a good time. So come out and hang out with us a couple days before Christmas. You got nothing else to do, so it'll be a good time.
All right, let's hit those super chats. All right, we have this first one here from JH. Who gets to ride in the plane's cargo hold with Rocky tonight? Do you think it can fit the whole team?
Well, I would be willing to go with that if you could put the officials in the cargo hold with Rocky, because that would be very entertaining.
They have to go in the one with the luggage, though, not the one with the dogs.
Yeah.
No, dude, no. And to be clear, this isn't me saying that Rocky Thompson deserves punishment. I mean, you can make the case the power play is bad. I'm more saying I want to see Rocky Thompson beating up the officials.
Yes.
Or at least doing a Ocean's 11 style, like pretending to beat up the officials and making a lot of loud beating up people noises.
I would forgive a lot of Rocky's past transgressions if he had beaten up an official tonight.
That would be fun.
He might never
honestly.
coach another game again, but he would go out a hero.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Get two birds stoned at once. Now, listen, there's a lot of times to criticize the power play. They were bad tonight.
Yeah,
They got
that's not the reason why.
One opportunity.
opportunity.
It is
One
getting
shot.
to like, yes, maybe they don't have a center who belongs on a power play. They probably don't have a point man right now. The best power play guy they have just turned 20. It can't be 15%. Like, we can't live in this world, though.
No.
Like, you have more guys. You scored 4 goals on 19 shots, and in the 2 minutes of this game that you had more players on the ice, legally at least, you barely had the puck.
Yeah.
It has to be better than the worst thing imaginable.
Yeah.
It seems like a simple request.
It was showing signs of improvement.
And now it's not.
They are mostly, like, the percentage not being 12 is mostly living on what they did on, like, the season opening road trip.
And it's all Michkov. It's not like any kind of strategy improvement.
No.
It's just having Matvei Michkov.
They need to figure out something.
Do
that improves
something.
This. Listen, there need to be the goal needs to be obviously personnel improvements, whether it's internal, internal development. That's the word I'm looking for, development, or external additions. You need to figure out a lot of positions on this team still, but the power play can't be 15%. Like, it just freaking can't be. All right, from this first one here, what's that? Tutty. I guess Teddy. There it is.
Teddy.
I thought that was an I, and I was like, I don't think I can say that, but it's me.
Amazing.
From Teddy. I have 20/20 vision, allegedly.
You're doing great.
Kate's line looked great. Either the ice was as good as Little Caesar's Pizza, or our defensemen were hungover. Whole team not great, but the D were bad tonight.
Yeah, honestly,
He was bad.
Teddy, you are correct. Cam York obviously had a really bad game. I think Sanheim had some good shifts, but he also had a bunch of not so good ones.
Yeah.
Zamula was Zamula. Risto got caught flat-footed on that one where they sent on the transition rush. Drysdale made some plays. I didn't think he was bad.
No, listen, this defense is what it is right now. Like, especially with Zamula in there, Ristolainen. Liking what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, if he's a top 4 defenseman on your team, you don't have 4 top 4 guys. Like,
No.
that's what it comes down to. And if Sanheim and York aren't especially good, the defense is not going to look good. Now with Andrae out of the lineup for at least now, there's not a ton of dynamism back there. Like, you just kind of have some dudes.
One hopes that the defense looking like it did tonight is enough to get Andrae back in for I don't care who, honestly.
I mean,
there are you give up 5 goals on 23 shots. Like,
Yeah.
Now Ersson should have been better. Also, again, like, there was a 3-on-0 in this
Right.
game.
Now's
There was
the
a
time.
3-on-1 in this game.
Put him
Like,
back in.
these things happened.
And
there
Whole
are
team
enough
looks
candidates to
worse
get him back in.
without him in, honestly.
Yeah.
Whole team looks worse.
yeah, like, look, I know, I get it that I'm oversimplifying things about, with Andrae having the impact he does. Maybe I'm a little higher on Andrae than I should be. That said, he's been out of the lineup for 3 games. They've lost 2 of them.
They
That's
started
fine.
looking really good. Like, when we were like, yeah, even though they're not winning, they're looking better. That's when he started getting 20 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's probably a lot of things that go in. When Fedotov goes from a 700 to a 900 save percentage, team looks a lot better. But I bet you the defense has something to do with that too.
I mean, sometimes it's just like, sometimes it's not even about like the particular skill level of X player. Sometimes it's just like the cog that fits.
Yeah.
And I feel like Andrae is just like what the team needs to like maximize what they're able to do on the ice because of his particular skill set. They don't have anybody else who's as good at what he does as he is. So like, I don't think you have to like pretend that Emil Andrae is like some kind of like dynamo prospect that's going to be like, you know, a top pair defenseman. But I just think that like he has a particular skill set that the Flyers need to look like a good hockey team. So just like put him back in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going back to in November, from November 11th, which was a San Jose game, first came back from that road trip, through the final game, November 30th, the Flyers lost 2 games in regulation. Those are the 2 games that Emil Andrae missed due to injury. And now he's been out 3 games due to healthy scratch. They've lost 2 of them. I feel like the impact is, well, maybe overstated a bit by putting it in those simple terms. I think he's important. I think he's very important to the makeup of that defense, because there's no one else that can do that second pair play driving role to the degree that he can.
Especially the way it all slots out, where it's like, okay, Sealer and Drysdale, that pair has come along.
Yeah.
Do you want them playing second pair minutes?
I don't.
Is Ristolainen a second pair defenseman without a plus puck mover? Like the way it all slots in is you kind of just need him. Like again, did Sean Walker deserve a Norris last year? No, but the way the team's put together, it's very necessary.
Exactly.
All right, let's hit this next one from Adam S. First one here from Adam.
S.
Whole bunch. Sam Ersson looked like Swiss cheese tonight. Not Ersson's best.
Again, I think his stat line makes it look worse than it was, because 3 of those goals I don't pin on him at all.
No.
That said, 2 of them I do. And you stop both of those, you win the game.
You lost by 2. So that's the way it goes. Next one from Adam here. Is it just me, or is Celebrini breathing down Michkov's neck in this Calder race?
Yeah, unfortunately.
You can't take your foot off the pedal, kid. We're trying to do a thing here.
It's going to be close.
Yeah,
You know who else is going to go through a slump? Him.
Here's hoping.
He's fresh right now. Coming back from injury. He's really freaking good. There's a reason he went first overall.
He's good.
Like,
very good player.
He's excellent.
Yeah.
I just think Misha is too. I think it's going to be close. And if you listen to the Rachel Dory interview, we aired it during the watch along tonight. Maybe Dustin Wolf is in there too.
Maybe. That would be wild.
All right. Another one here from Adam. What's this? How come every time we're on national TV, we play like crap? Now everyone else around the league gets to make fun of us on Twitter. Don't look at your mentions, kids.
Also, I got news for you. They make fun of the Flyers even when they're not on national TV too.
50 years without a cup.
Yeah.
That'll do it to you.
1 playoff series win since 2012.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're going to be a fan of this team, you got to just...
You're going to be the butt of a lot of jokes.
You got to learn to take a punch or two to be a fan of this freaking team.
Not wrong.
Yes.
All right.
Builds
and
character.
finally, one last one from JH. Obligatory plug for the TD Bank bit in Letterkenny, and happy birthday, Kelly.
Buddy.
Happy birthday, Kelly.
Yeah, happy birthday, Hinkle.
Oh, no, we got another one.
Oh, one last one.
Another one from Teddy.
Another from Teddy here. As Bill says, burn the tape, just a bad game.
It was a bad game.
Yeah, there's... Cam York knows he can't make that pass. Yes. Like Sean Couturier knows you got to tie up on that face. I don't think there's a lot of, we can learn from this situation. They just played like crap tonight.
Yeah.
Honestly, they had a chance to get back in this game. They even tied it up. You had 19 shots on goal.
Yeah, they had a chance to get back.
Stunk.
They had a chance to get back in this game, not because they played great, but because Detroit is not a good team.
Yeah, Detroit also bad. Detroit came in 2 games under 500.
Yeah.
They also stink. Both teams. And the Flyers sucked tonight. Detroit, 24 shots on goal. Yeah. Neither team was, and that's with 3 power plays.
Well, we saw what happens when the Flyers play well against Detroit.
Yeah, they
kick
killed
the crap out.
Right. Their 4th line left wing scored 4 goals against them. Both of these teams just kind of bad. All right, and that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Want to thank everybody who watched us on TV tonight, and thank everybody who hung out with us from pregame through the watch along all the way till now for the postgame.
It's been a long night.
Very much appreciate all of you hanging out with us tonight. One last thing I got to tell you about the Saturday after Christmas. Glen Mills, Heroes Bar and Grill for a watch party and live show. Going to be a great time. Come on out to that as well. Do all your RSVPing.
Boo Cutter to crowd.
Yeah, Boo Cutter. It's Matvei Michkov. Something tells me he gets on the board that night. I'll tell you that. So make sure you come on out. Go to allphly.com to RSVP. That'll do it for us. My name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. That's the birthday girl, Kelly Hinkle. Let's go Flyers.
Yay.
We all silly like the mayor.